Hello and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name is Courtney and I love talking about books. In today's video, we are going to attempt, keyword attempt, we're going to attempt a 24-hour reading challenge, but we're not going to do 24 hours straight because I'm not crazy. No, I know that some people do the 24 hours straight, but I'm gonna tell you right now, it's not for me. Turn into a crazy person if I don't get my sleep. Like, I do not function, and I feel like probably everybody says this, but I truly, it's like a struggle for me to stay up past 10 p.m. So instead, we're gonna do what I've seen some other book girlies on here do, which is split it into 2 days of 12 hours of reading. So yeah, today we're gonna have 12 hours on the clock. It is Wednesday. I do have some things to do today. I do have client check-ins. But if I buckle down, that shouldn't take me too long, and it should be like a nice little break in between reading. Obviously we'll have to take breaks to like eat and stuff. However, for my reading challenge, I am going to include audiobooks. I am in the middle of one right now, which we'll get to that in a second. I'll be switching kind of back and forth to make the most of my time and really make sure that I am hitting that 12 hours, because the point of this challenge for me is to read as much as I can and get through as much of my physical TBR as I can. So without further ado, I'm gonna show you what books I am tentatively planning to read in this video. First up, we have my current read, which is Zodiac Academy, Heartless Sky. This is book number 7 in the series, and I only have like 30% left of this book, which is good because she's huge and not great for a 24-hour reading challenge. These books are really fast-paced, so I'm going to plan on reading this to start with this morning. And then I also, like I said, do have an audiobook for when I'm doing chores, walking, etc. I'm listening to Beyond the Wand by Tom Felton. We have 2 hours, 42 minutes left. I don't even know if you can see this. Boop. 2 hours, 45 minutes left of this one. So that's an option as well. And then the other books that I'm kind of looking at as options for this 24-hour challenge are Lost and Lassoed by Lila Sage. This is a short little cowboy-esque type romance. This follows Teddy Anderson and Gus Ryder, which you do get little snippets of them in the previous books in this series. And yeah, I think this is going to be a really fun time. I've heard really good things about it. I think it's like a dislike / like rivals to lovers type situation. There's that one. Another option we have, if I'm not feeling Lost and Lassoed, the other option is The Front Runner by Elsie Silver, which is another country. I don't know if it's not really cowboys. It's more like horse ranch type situation. And this one follows Stefan Delka and Mira. And Stefan, throughout the other books, is kind of portrayed as like a smarmy, rich, like he's like the bad guy, right? So this one follows him and Mira, who is the veterinarian for this ranch. So she kind of takes care of the horses, and we're gonna have some type of, like I said, not rival, dislike to lover situation, forced proximity. That's kind of what I'm getting from what I know about this one. So that is also an option. They're both pretty short. And I know that Elsie books, like, I can rip right through them. 340 pages, and then Lost and Lassoed is 313 pages. So this one is shorter. But we'll see. We'll see what I'm in the mood for. And then the book that I want to read after that, I was thinking possibly A Dawn of Onyx, because it is another shorty little book. This one I really know nothing about, other than it's like fantasy romance following Arwen Valendale. Yeah, I'm not even gonna like read what it's about. I'm just gonna see how long this one is. 406 pages. So for a fantasy book, not too bad. So yeah, those are kind of the options I'm looking at for this reading blog, plus the audiobook that I showed you. It is 6:18 in the morning, and my plan was to get started at 6:30. So we are on track. I am going to get cozy with my coffee, and we're gonna start reading until I need to go do some work. And I will keep you guys updated. Oh, and I'll start the timer like when I actually sit down and start reading. So let's get set up. Okay, quickly, can I just say how silly these books are? Zodiac Academy, if you've never heard of it or read it, is so silly and goofy, and I love it. And our number one silliest, goofiest character, whom I am obsessed with, is Geraldine. I don't know if you can read this. Geraldine, okay? She's hilarious. Let me just give you an example. Just thinking of those dastardly Daniels got my crockpot boiling at the knowledge that they were still following that false filibuster of a king and doing his bidding, no matter how nefarious his intentions were. They really made my gobble wobble, and I was determined to snafu one of those maps of Espial right out of their hands at the soonest opportunity. She talks like this all the time, and I love her. Anyway, back to reading.
Go for another take. Bunched up closer this time. And who is it that's walking directly behind Snape? Director gives us our instructions. Look down, we need to see your faces. Which means we can't be a careful action. One stepped back. For an awful moment, I thought he was going to lose his I think it would be great for me to get it out there, don't you?
Okay, I am pausing this at 9 hours and 36 minutes. That's what we have left. So, ooh, pause. So we have been reading for about 2.5 hours. I read, don't even know how many pages, 50, 60 pages of Zodiac Academy at least. And then I listened to about 30 minutes of this while eating and like getting ready and doing stuff. And now I need to get on the computer and do probably like an hour or so of work today. And then we're gonna get back into reading, and I'll probably update you guys once I finish a book. I'm thinking Zodiac Academy. I also want to walk today, so while I'm walking I'll either read my Kindle on the treadmill or listen to this while I'm walking. I also have some chores that I could be listening to this while I'm doing, so yeah. That's the plan, and let's get to it. We're back with some updates. It is now 11 a.m. and we are down, I just paused the timer, we are down to, can you see that? Probably not. Exactly 8 hours left. So we are 4 hours in. I finished listening to the I finished listening to the audiobook of Beyond the Wand by Tom Felton, and I don't usually rate audiobooks, or not audiobooks, biographies or anything like that, because I don't know, it just feels weird to like rate someone's telling of their own story. So I'm not gonna rate it, but I really enjoyed the look into Tom Felton's life, especially like during the time of him being on Harry Potter. And honestly, the lessons that he learned that he kind of talks about at the end of the book, really touching. Like, I found myself tearing up. In a different vlog, I talked about also listening to this audiobook and how there was a couple other moments that made me tear up, but I kind of just love how like humble Tom is. He's very humble, doesn't really take himself seriously, and very honest about like all the things that he ends up going through, mostly after the Harry Potter years. But I don't know, the life lessons learned really hit me hard, and he talks a lot about like mental health and not feeling ashamed of like seeking out help, talking to people about your emotions, the good and the bad, and just how at the end of the day the only thing that matters is like how you treat the people around you and having people around you to share your life with. So it was really touching and I had a great time. I walked, started laundry, 2 loads of laundry actually. What else? That was mostly it. I walked for like half an hour, did laundry, bopped around doing some dusting in my house, basically just doing some chores to not be sitting on my butt all day. And we already finished our first book within the first 4 hours of this 24-hour challenge. And I did pause the timer because I'm going to like check my client messages. That's something that I always have to do throughout my days, is answer my clients, obviously. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna take maybe, I don't even know, I don't want to take too much time off of reading, because I would take like a half an hour to myself. I don't want to take too much time off because obviously that'll just push things like later and later tonight. But after that, I'm gonna sit down, read more of Zodiac Academy, and I'll definitely get that finished today as well. Update my book journal, all that fun stuff, and get started on the next book. As of right now, because we have 8 hours left and it's 11, that puts me on track for, let's say I start back up at 11:30, 11:30, 12:30, 4:30, 5:30, 6:30. That puts us at like 7:30 tonight, which is pretty perfect because my husband usually gets home like later, and I want to obviously make sure that I have some time with him. So I don't know what updates will like look like later on in this video. Yeah, I will either update you later on in the day, like if I'm finishing books and stuff, tonight or tomorrow morning, don't know. But yeah, that is the update so far. I'm gonna take a moment and then we're gonna sit down and we're gonna get right back into Zodiac Academy. But already so far I can tell that these kind of challenges motivate me to read more. Like obviously that's the whole point of them, right? But so far, so good. Updates. It is now 1:40 p.m. and I have 5 hours and 38 minutes left of today's 12 hours. So far I have finished, like I said, Beyond the Wand, and then I also started another audiobook because audiobooks are just really nice for when you need to get up and do stuff, and I go a little bit crazy sitting down and reading for too long, so I am already kind of starting to get those like restless feelings. I put on my headphones and went out and got the mail and switch it up. I'm gonna go probably fold some laundry while listening to more of this audiobook, Storied Life of AJ Fikry by Gabrielle Zevin, and I'm liking it so far. It's a little bit like depressing vibes. It's about this like old man. He's very curmudgeonly, he's very grumpy. And you slowly start to kind of find out why, but yeah, some sad things have happened in his life and he's not dealing with it very well. And then his prized possession, which is an Edgar Allan Poe collection of stories, gets stolen from his home, and that just sends him over the edge. So now we've got that going on, but pretty much all that's happened with that so far. And then I'm at the very end. I'm like 91% through Zodiac Academy number 7, so I'm definitely going to finish that at some point today. I just having a hard time focusing. I've been sitting here with my Kindle and my little clicker and loving this book. It is a bit, I would say, too long, like dragged out, where we have like the same things happening over and over. And then there's these two characters who I want to get together so bad, but they're both just like lying to themselves and each other about their feelings, and it's hurting me so bad. And I can already foresee that that's not going to get resolved, and that if I want that to get resolved, I'm gonna have to get like read the next book, which part of me in this book was like, maybe I don't feel the need to continue the series because it is just so freaking long. I love it. I do love these characters, but now I'm like, depending on how this book ends, I'm probably gonna have to read the next one and to feel satisfied, because these two specific characters, I need them to be together. Anyway, that's pretty much my update. Just kind of wanted to get on here to say that I can already tell that 24-hour challenges definitely are helpful for like getting through a lot of books. If this continues to go well today, I will have finished one audiobook plus this book, plus started 1 to possibly 2 books depending, because I like to have one audiobook and then one physical. And then we'll have another day tomorrow, which means I could potentially finish another 1 to 2 books. These kind of challenges are definitely challenging to me. Like I said, I have a hard time sitting still for long periods of time, which I'm already having crop up, and it's only been, what, a little over 6 hours, I think? Yeah, since we have 5 hours, 38 minutes left. So we've been doing this for like 6.5 hours. It's only been like 6 hours and I'm already like struggling to stay focused. So yeah, I'm gonna put this audiobook back on to go fold my laundry, and then we're gonna attempt once more to sit down and focus on finishing Zodiac Academy. But yeah, if I don't get this show on the road, we're gonna be doing this till 8 or 9 p.m., which I don't wanna do because I want to spend some time with my husband. I gotta cook dinner, all the things. So we'll see how today goes, but that is the update. I have finished Zodiac Academy officially at, hold on, what was the time? 3.5 hours left. So we're like almost 9 hours in now to the 12 hours, and I have finished 2 books, both of which I had already started, but man, I don't know why. I feel like Zodiac Academy was taking me forever to get through. Like physically I was flying through, but also it felt like the book would never end. And it was like the same things happening over and over. And there was a battle scene kind of that lasted like 20 chapters. So mentally, I'm like exhausted, and we still have 3 hours left. I'm going to put my audiobook on again, probably go have a snack, shower. I'm gonna have to make dinner at some point. And yeah, guys, I don't know if I can do this for 2 days. Reading even for 12 hours straight is like kind of insane of me. But we have finished 2 books, so I'm also going to update the book journal while listening to my audiobook, because at this point we cannot stand to lose time. All right, I'm not doing this till 9 p.m. tonight. It's just not happening. Zodiac Academy, obviously I must continue because I need to know what happens next, but I am kind of like over the whole same things happening over and over, and bad things happening to characters that I love. No, I'm like, at this point, it just hurts, and I'm just mad. So that's my feelings on that one. I don't even know where to begin with rating it. Is it 5 stars? Probably not, just because I do think it went on too long. So I'm gonna say 4 stars for now, and we'll see if that changes by the end of this vlog. But that's all I have for now. morning. It is now the next morning. It's Thursday. I never did update you guys last night because I pretty much failed the challenge yesterday. I ended up having almost an hour, let that focus, almost an hour left on my timer out of the 12 hours for yesterday. So yeah, that's still a lot of reading. By that last like couple hours, I did not want to read anymore. My eyes literally hurt. I was exhausted mentally. I was starting to develop a headache. So I was like, you know what? The whole point, I feel like, of these challenges is supposed to be fun. So when it stops being fun, then we stop. And that's just how I'm gonna do it. So yeah, yesterday, I'm not even gonna call it a fail because I read 430 pages. Read/listened to between the 2 books that I finished and then the 2 books that I started, which I don't know if I've talked about the books that I've started yet. I will do that here in a second, but I wanted to tell you the plan for today. So I think what I'm gonna do is, instead of torturing myself and doing another 12 hours of reading and essentially putting myself in a book slump, because that's what it's starting to feel like. It's like making me not want to read, which is the opposite effect of what I want from these challenges. So I think what I'm gonna do is try for 6 hours today and then drag it on into tomorrow and try to do another 6 hours then, kind of break it up even more and just see how that goes. Because I mean, pretty much every day I try to read in the little pockets of time that I have. I try to read as much as possible anyway. And that balance seems to work out really well. Because like I said, I get restless. If I'm not moving for any long period of time, I do get pretty restless, pretty uninterested in reading unless the book's like really capturing me. So I kind of need those like natural life breaks between like work and exercising and leaving the house and doing things. So yeah, today I think I might, because I'm feeling really called today to go book shopping. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm going to sit and drink my coffee and read a little bit, which I'll show you in a second when I'm reading. Barnes doesn't open till like 10 anyway. So after breakfast, after I've maybe gone for a little walk and all of that, I think I am gonna go to Barnes. I have no idea what I wanna buy. Part of me is always like torn between having the urge to buy books, like I feel right now, and then wanting to not buy any books to add to my TBR, because there's something so satisfying about like completing most of the books that are on my TBR card. I don't know if we'll go crazy or not, but I do kind of want to leave the house and I haven't been book shopping in a long time. So I'm thinking I'm gonna do that, get some groceries maybe while I'm out and about, and like I said, in those pockets of time, just try to read as much as possible and we'll go from there. But I did start The Storied Life of A.J. Fikry on audiobook yesterday. I got 90 pages into this. I think I already talked about this a little bit. It's like about this kind of grumpy old man, and he has something come into his life, literally left on his doorstep, that changes the trajectory of his life and kind of gives him like purpose again. So the tone at the beginning of the book is very depressing. He has lost his wife, and then he's kind of let himself go. He's drinking himself into an early grave, and then his prized possession, Tamerlane, a collection of works by Edgar Allan Poe, gets stolen, and that kind of like is the last straw, I feel like, for him. So now the tone is getting a little bit brighter as we're getting towards the middle of the book. So that's really all I have for this one. It's kind of hard for me to like really latch onto details sometimes when I'm listening to audiobooks, especially yesterday when I had so many different books going on. It makes it a little confusing. I don't know if that is the move, but that's that one. And then I also did last night, in like my last hour of reading, I started Lost and Lassoed by Lila Sage, and I got 40 pages in, so I'm on chapter 6. Not much has really happened. You are basically just seeing how much Teddy and Gus hate each other and they avoid each other at all costs. And you can tell that there's an underlying attraction there. There's obviously some like sexual chemistry, some tension, which obviously later on in the book will be really fun, but right now they're both convinced that they hate each other's guts. Gus, his ex-wife, is like out of town, so he's basically a single dad for like a couple weeks, and he forgets to go pick his daughter up at soccer and calls Emmy. Emmy calls Teddy, and Teddy's like, dude, Gus is not gonna want me to go pick up his kid, but like, sure. So that's kind of where we've left off. very not far into the story. So that's where we're picking up today. Don't know where this day will take us. Oh, the spines look really pretty together. The colors are kind of like matching. But yeah, I'm just gonna say right here and right now, I don't think 24-hour challenges are for me. I don't even think 12-hour challenges are for me. And that's all right. Like at first I was feeling a little bit guilty, like, oh, this video is gonna be like a fail, it's gonna be boring. But no, it's not a fail because like I said, I still got through 430 pages yesterday. I'm still gonna read today, and basically the whole point of this was an experiment to see whether or not this helps or hinders my reading experience. Okay, so I proceeded to sit here and read like 100 and almost 50 pages of this. I started this morning on page 40. As you saw, I'm now on page 186. So yeah, I read like 140 pages this morning, which I didn't plan on that happening, but this is really, really good so far. It definitely reminds me a lot of Heartless by Elsie Silver. But for like all the people saying that it's the exact same book, there are some differences. Like the fact that these two kind of have known each other, well, yeah, no, I don't think in Elsie Silver's book they knew each other before they met in that coffee shop. But in this book, they've known each other their whole lives and kind of thought that they both like hated each other really or strongly disliked each other. So you get that really good tension between them, and you find out that they had like a little bit of a moment at one point, and then that's kind of where this animosity bruise stems from, whatever, which I don't know, it's been a really good time. I love just like being on the ranch, like the country setting is very relaxing and calming. Horses, and Gus's kid is really cute, and Teddy's really good with her, and him kind of like starting to see her differently is really sweet and fun. So I'm really enjoying this. We did finally get a little bit of a scene. It wasn't like my favorite, I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't like my favorite Spice. Like Gus definitely has a dirty mouth, but something about it was a little bit off-putting, but I still like the book. I still like it, their romance so far. So that's my update there. I read a bunch this morning, and now I'm ready to head out to the bookstore. Hopefully, it's apparently supposed to snow all day, but it doesn't look like it's, I mean, the roads are fine right now, and it doesn't look like it's supposed to like amount to much. So I should probably get going if I'm going to do that. And then I need to figure out possibly something to make for dinner. But yeah, those are the plans. I was gonna see what I have left on the timer. I am kind of still using a timer for the 6 hours that we talked about. So now the timer is down to 3 hours, 52 minutes left. So I'm hoping later when I get back, I will have more time to read, and then I'll definitely have some time tonight as usual to read, but that is it. Updates. Okay, so we once again failed what we set out to do, kind of. So I know that I said yesterday I was going to only try to do 6 hours on the clock, and yeah, I did 4 hours of that and then was just done with it. I was just tired. So we're just gonna say that this vlog, the 24-hour challenge, it failed. It's not for me, and that's okay. That's honestly fine with me. Because I have gotten quite a bit of reading in. I don't know if I told you guys what I read, how much I read yesterday. I ended up reading 200 pages total. I read 96 pages of Lost and Lassoed, and I read or listened to about 100 pages of The Storied Life of AJ Hickory. So these are the two we're kind of working with right now. I am on page 194 for Lost and Lassoed, so I'm like a little over halfway through, and then just about the same thing with this one, like 136 pages in, so like about halfway. My reading plans today, I just finished work. It's like almost 11 on Friday now, and we started this on Wednesday. And my husband and I are gonna go on a little lunch date soon, and then I do plan to have some reading time later, like in between doing laundry and chores and stuff. So I'm hoping to get these finished by today. I thought about like just ending the vlog here, but I don't know. That feels so unsatisfying to like not finish these 2 books in this vlog. So I don't know. I might just leave the outro, the ending of this, for future Courtney to do. But those are my updates as of right now. I'm so sorry guys that this 24-hour challenge has just been deduced over and over again. We went from, well, I was never attempting to do 24 hours straight, but we went from 12 to then 6, which we also didn't do, to now today. I'm just gonna try to read as much as I can, but not force it. So that's the plan. I fear that this video has now taken a turn to just becoming like a regular reading vlog, and that's fine. That's okay. But yeah, I'm apparently not the person for this kind of challenge, because it's made me, it's had the opposite effect. It's made me like not want to read. So we don't love that for me. I'm gonna go, and I'll let you guys know if I end up, you know, having any updates for you. And we'll leave it at that. Okay, we are finally going to end this reading vlog, this 24-hour challenge vlog. Don't mind my pimple patch. I had an absolutely massive pimple, which right there on like my cheek doesn't usually happen. But anyway, updates. I have now finished 2 more books, so hold on, let's back up. It is still Friday. I have 2 hours left on the clock of basically like the whole 24 hours that we split down into 3 days. God, why do I look like this? Hold on, maybe I'm not gonna hold this. Okay. The lighting is probably atrocious. It is now Friday. Well, it's still Friday night. And I've now finished 4 books. We have 2-ish hours left on the clock. Although we have to remember that I didn't complete, there was like 1 hour from Thursday that I didn't complete, and a couple hours that I didn't complete from yesterday. So technically we fell like 4 to 5 hours short of 24 full hours. But you know what? It's fine. I know that even if, I mean, I probably am gonna go start another book soon, but even if I were to start another book, like I wouldn't be able to finish that in the next 2 hours or whatever. So we're gonna end it here. But we did read 4 books. The first one that we finished was Beyond the Wand by Tom Belton, which was his, you know, biography. I don't have a physical copy of it. And then the second book that we finished physically was Zodiac Academy Heartless Sky, which is number 7 in the series. She's a chonker. I never mentioned it, but I didn't mention it again, but Beyond the Wand I did not rate. Zodiac Academy I gave 4.5 stars, I believe, and this was a really good time, although it was like too long, I think, in my opinion. There was certain things that were very repetitive, dragged out. I found myself, as it kept going, as it kept dragging on, I found myself being less and less interested, and a certain 2 characters, if you know, you know, their romance is what kept me going. And I would love to know, how do I say this without spoiling anything? Or ask this. There's 2 characters who are dancing around each other the entire time in this book, and they're like refusing to tell each other how they feel. If you know, if you've read these, you definitely know who I'm talking about. Can you tell me if it's worth it to continue and like the rest of the series, books 8 and 9? Like, when do they get together? Like, why is I'm like, I don't even know what the point is, because they just keep doing the same things over and over in this freaking series. So those, I don't know, I feel like every time I finish a Zodiac Academy book, I'm like annoyed. So that's not great, but I did have a fun time. I always enjoy being back with these characters. A standout for me, like I said before, I believe, is Geraldine. She's hilarious. The way she talks with like alliteration, like she'll say like slippery salmon, for example, is so funny. Her banter with one of the heirs is so funny. Gosh, I just love her so much. But anyway, yeah, so that was a really good reading experience, and we only read like, I don't know, the last 30% of it in this vlog, which thank God, because if I was trying to read this in a 24-hour vlog, I probably would have like only been reading this. So that was the second book we finished. And then we finished Lost and Lassoed. I literally just finished this tonight, and I ended up settling on a 4 stars for this one. I had a really fun time. This follows Teddy and Gus. Gus is Emmy's older brother from, I think Emmy is from the first book. Yeah, Emmy and Luke. I really liked their dynamic. I like that they were kind of a dislike to love situation. You know, they have some history, being that they've known each other their whole lives and disliked each other, or thought they did their whole lives, so that lends some really fun tension. And their romance ended up being really sweet. Now, a lot of people criticize this book for being very close to like Heartless by Elsie Silver, and I will say there are obviously aspects, like many of them, that remind me of Heartless, but I think it has its own things going on too, and I also don't think there's anything that was like copy and paste. So I don't know, I'm fine with it. It doesn't bother me at all. Like if there's a book that I like a lot and then there's another book that's like very similar and gonna give me similar feelings, like I want that. I want to experience different versions of my same books that I like over and over again. It's kind of like how people criticize, you know, Allie Hazelwood for like taking the same exact formula and doing the exact same things but in a different font over and over, but like you know what you're getting. I like it, I'm a fan. But anyway, I thought this was a really good time. The only thing that kind of took me by surprise was the spice in this. There was a couple things that kind of were like a little bit not for me, a little bit cringing me out. I don't know if it's just like the dialogue or like his nickname for her, or I don't know what it was. There was like a couple things, especially in like the first spice scene, that kind of annoyed me. The like, not third act breakup, but you know, like the third act formula, the trouble that always starts to happen in the third act. That was pretty predictable, but like as a person who reads a lot of romance, that's bound to happen, right? Like eventually you're going to start catching on to things that authors are doing. So I wouldn't really count that as a point against this. Again, like I said, overall I really enjoyed it. I really flew through like the first 100 and like almost basically 200 pages. And then it kind of had a little bit of a slow dip for me, just because that third act area is always a little bit like we're climbing a high, and then you have a little dip, and then things get good again. So yeah, those are my thoughts. 4 stars, good time, no complaints, honestly. Out of the series so far, I do think this one is my favorite though. So, and then I also finished via audiobook The Storied Life of A.J. Fickery. This one, it's hard for me to like put my thoughts together, I feel like, and I don't know if it's just because a lot of this I was like multitasking while reading it, which I really need to stop doing. But I ended up rating this one I would say like 3.5 stars. Like I enjoyed it, but I wouldn't say it's anything like crazy or anything that I'm really going to like remember a ton. It has some really good insight into grief and even like getting older, finding joy in things that you maybe wouldn't think that you would, giving life a second chance. Like there's all those kind of really good messages in here, and obviously it's general fiction, so like you're gonna have just things about general life and messages on life things. I did think that was good, but again, I'm not like the biggest fan anymore, or like I wouldn't say that I read a lot of general fiction anymore, and it's mostly because like when I read, I'm trying to escape real life. I'm not trying to like feel overly sad. I'm not trying to feel like sad and think about death and grief and all of these most of the time. Every once in a while I feel like a book like that will be satisfying to me, just because it's not something that I read all the time anymore. I don't know, I do think this was like really well written. I like that each chapter starts with kind of an excerpt from like a different book, like a famous book, and then you have A.J. Fickery's like little notes on it that he's writing to someone. I'm not going to say who because that's a little bit of a spoiler. I don't know. I really enjoyed it. I liked the little bit of romance we get in here. I really liked Lambiese's character, the detective, and I like how he kind of becomes like unlikely friends with AJ. Just the people that come into his life, because he starts out, I think I've said this, but he starts out like very depressed. He's like drinking his life away. And so the overall tone of the book in the beginning is quite sad and depressing. But it picks up and it starts getting brighter and brighter until by the end you realize he's kind of entangled himself into the town and he has friends and he's broadened his horizons when it comes to his reading tastes, which reflects also in the people that he now has in his life, right? Like he finds someone to spend his life with and he gets to experience, you know, fatherhood, and he's got all these friends, particularly Lambiese, who I love. And I don't know, he starts to kind of like give people a chance and be a little bit less grumpy, which is fun to see. I don't know, I liked it. I liked it a lot. It kind of reminds me a little bit of like the vibes of A Man Called Ove. Is it Ove or Ove? I don't know. I'm gonna say Ove. A Man Called Ove by Frederick Bachman. I loved that. I love a heartwarming story about like a curmudgeonly old man who like starts to love again and like have people in his life again that remind him of how good life is. So this kind of is reminiscent of that, but I liked that one better. I liked A Man Called Ove better. I think that one really drove the point home, but this one was really good too for other reasons. I really liked all the literary references in here, and like this is a book for book lovers, right? Like it talks a lot about even Lambiese at the end is like talking about how much he loves the feel of a book in his back pocket, the feel of paper, like the smell of books, being able to talk to other people who like books. Like those are all things that I really love as a book lover. So I would say if you're a book lover, I do recommend reading this because beautiful quotes. You can tell it's like a very intellectual book, and it also has hints of things that book lovers love. So yeah, that was the fourth book that we read in this vlog. So here's my stack. Just pretend that Beyond the Wand is also on this pile, but we did get some decent reading done. I know I said a couple times already in this video that this challenge ended up being a fail, but you know what? I wouldn't call it a fail. I would just say that doing 24 hours, I already said right from the bat that 24 hours was not gonna work for me. But even just like 12 hours in one day is probably not gonna be happening again for me. I would say 6 hours is like good. It like challenges me. Why can I say that? It challenges me, but it's not impossible, and it doesn't make me not want to read by the end of the day, because that's what the 12 hours did. The 12 hours by the end of the day, I felt like I was going crazy. I mean, yeah, I was going in between reading physically and listening to an audiobook, but like I was still over it. So I'm gonna say that the lesson I learned from this is that I need to not be pushing myself to read just to read like a certain amount of pages, because you know, at the end of the day, like I'm reading for fun, and I want to remember that. I don't want it to become a chore or something I just need to cross off of a list, or just another work item or something, you know what I mean? So yeah, I would say I had some good takeaways from trying this challenge, and I'm gonna go back to my casual pace, my own pace of reading. But I will say that doing it like this, where I'm timing it and I'm kind of like really setting aside time for reading, definitely helped me get through some pages. So if I'm ever in like one of those moods where I just want to like get some books off my physical TBR, maybe I'll do something similar, you know, where I do like a page count challenge, or you know, something less than 12 hours in a day. That is it, guys. If you have made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for coming along on this sidetracked 24-hour challenge. So sorry that it wasn't an actual 24-hour challenge if that was what you were looking for, but yeah, thank you so much. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all of the YouTube things if you enjoyed this, to support, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!